say, these hours when the fate of a Brexit is going to be decided, because the people of Britain have said what they want. We've seen 2 years of negotiations, complicated, non-complicated, with comings in and comings out, and now is the last game of the last set. So something now must happen. What are the options?
Reading Lisbon Treaty, there is Article 50 which is saying during negotiations the Commission must pay attention to the future relation with the leaving country. And I think they didn't follow Lisbon Treaty in this way, because UK applied in this letter applying for exit. They on 13 pages they explained what would be necessary to discuss. And the answer of European Union was just 3 items, 3 points.
Of 13, 3.
Instead of 13 pages, just
pages.
3 items.
Okay.
Ireland, position of European people in UK, and what UK will pay. And I think that they did, the European Commission did the job very badly, because the result is not solving what was necessary to solve, and we see the additional political declaration showing how much areas were not discussed. And on the other hand, for UK, I think the final treaty is not a big advantage, because today there is short way how to escape from EU, and instead of the joint European market, which is very regulated and closed inside, to have a real free market with the rest of the world. But this treaty is making complications reaching free trade for UK, and it's making very difficult to leave this relation between UK and EU, because it's not just to apply, but it must be agreed by all member states, and it could be blocked. So maybe this relation forever. I am not convinced that that's a perfect document. I am not convinced that's fitting to British interests.
Yeah, well, the diabolic situation lies in the fact that on one side we know that Brexit was good, and whatever Brits wanted through the Brexit, they wanted right things, and it was good both to Europe and UK. By now screwing this Brexit up, making it complicated, halfway, half-hearted, stupid compromises, avoiding disputes, etc., you make a good Brexit bad Brexit. And then the message that comes now from the good Brexit to us in Eastern Europe and Central Europe is, oh, Brexit is dangerous, bad, and stuff like that. But that's not the truth, because the idea of the Brexit was beautiful, nice, and absolutely doable.
In fact, there is some feeling European Union tries to punish UK because of Brexit.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I think that's crazy, because UK is just using their rights, which are involved in Lisbon Treaty.
Yes.
If somebody is using his rights, he might not be punished for that.
Oh yes, but think about how Angela Merkel came here, and when you listen to Emmanuel Macron, etc., these people are talking like enemies of UK. So they are creating a new hostility. Whenever EU in theory was created for peaceful purposes, coming and going was free, everybody had to be nice to each other, etc. And now, if you are not happy how nice we are to you, then we will not be nice to you anymore. So it creates a new confrontation once in 50 years, I believe.
But I have to say we are not very satisfied with the shape of European Union today.
Yes,
because before we joined EU, the strong argument was we don't like Europe dominated by Germans and maybe France.
Yeah.
Today we see in European Union Macron with Merkel are negotiating something, and we have just to agree with it. So that's what might be avoided by European cooperation, is becoming much more stronger than we expected.
Have you noticed one very interesting moment? When Merkel walked in to make her case in the European Parliament, then the applause and ovation and the hurrah, hurrah was so strong that I've never seen such a thing in Soviet times, in the Communist Party congresses. And all these humble requests that dear Merkel, rule us more, you are so smart, and how can we live without you, etc., etc. And to be honest, for the first time I started to think about that. Does Europe need new Wehrmacht or not? Because these are the nations who are ready to give up their sovereignty to Germans for free, even without any... and it is pretty dangerous perspective. Perhaps even Merkel's not very smart, and she has been overestimated in very many cases. Perhaps even Merkel herself, as a former young Communist League activist, etc., did not understand what's going on in Europe. But it is a problem if the parliament here of still 28 nations, if it is cheering, yelling, shouting, etc., Merkel, come and rule us, and then how important it is for us Germany, then I think that we've surrendered already to some kind of a new world order.
Well, I would say Germany is important for our trade and so on, but on the other hand, especially for Czech Republic, it would be very difficult to fit with European foreign policy, let's say towards Israel, because we do have very good relations with Israel.
Absolutely.
We don't like to lose it.
Yes.
And our opinion of our foreign policy, official documents, is Israel is the very unique democratic state in the Middle East, and we need Israel for protection of Europe. Before all threats which are coming from terrorists and so on. So for stability in the Middle East, Israel is very crucial for our security. I don't understand European Mogherini foreign policy, which is saying we are supporting just Palestinians.
It is strange.
And European Union having such a Minister of Foreign Affairs and having common army, that would be disaster.
Complete disaster. By the way, as you mentioned, Mogherini.
And going back, I was very active in during the war in dissolution of Yugoslavia and so on, and I would say that was disaster of foreign policy of Western Europe. So traditionally, Czechs understand the situation in Balkan, and we were aware there are very difficult situations, and we sent some warnings to European countries. And Germans said to us, there will be no war in Yugoslavia.
Oh, yes.
And after that, because of terrible politics, and especially Vance-Owen plan in Yugoslavia, 100,000 of people have been killed in Kosovo and in Bosnia, just because of bad foreign policy of European Union. Having European army, there will be much more bigger disaster.
But by the way, when I saw how critically here our colleagues expressed themselves against Hungary, Hungary was criticized because of Orban, etc. But again, yelling, crying, and shouting, it was absolutely uncivilized behavior in this house of the parliament. Then I started to think for a moment, but excuse me, if these people, our colleagues, if these people have so much lack of civility and so much anger, then European army, isn't that a risk to Hungary? That the same European army will go and march to Budapest like the Soviets marched in 1956. And that is why, until the civility is not gained in European Parliament, and now I think it's late, but under this uncivilized Parliament, to have armed forces of 10,000 it is dangerous enough.
Yeah.
It's not going to protect anybody because Putin is going to laugh off every army that does not include United States in it.
But sometimes I listen to arguments saying we need European Union because European Union is guaranteeing peace on the European continent.
Of course
But
not.
the case of Yugoslavia is showing that's not
Absolutely.
true. The case of Libya, where the war has been initiated by Europeans, and up to now we have no solution for that. So it's showing that European Union is give no guarantee to peace on the European continent. Maybe the opposite.
The case in Ukraine was definitely produced by European Union. It's European Union's fault who for almost a year accepting occupation of Crimea, now this frozen conflict in but the best of is French President Sarkozy, who traded away Georgia. Simply, there is a war between Russia and Georgia, and Sarkozy, as representative of European Union, comes and says, don't fight anymore, Russia, you will take this, you will take that, and you Georgians shut up. So it was the method of doing about this thing. By the way, as you mentioned about Mogherini, this is a side remark, but just I think that feminists should be happy. Look how strongly behave the former communist organizations, girls who are today grown-ups, because Merkel was from Young Communist League. Yes, and Mogherini is the same thing. So young communists 30 years ago have become pretty significant figures, unfortunately.
But I think it's very important to say, so 50 years of peace on the European continent, that not because of European integration,
Right.
then because of NATO.
Yes.
NATO did have power and tools and military capacity to guarantee peace on the European continent. The European Union or European communities on those times did have no power, no political capacity, no institutions to do anything for peace. So arguing 50 years of peace on the European continent,
That's not true.
that's completely wrong argument.
Yes, because the last wars, no, Ukrainian war is for goodness sake 3 years old,
Yeah.
and tell me who is that this isn't that a war and isn't those things. That now tells us who are remaining in the European Union, perhaps without pleasure and without fun, but still, at least to some extent, we must understand that, okay, whatever that European Union is, we have to defend ourselves according to our socialist inclinations and anti-democratic institutions. But what is most important, we have to protect our friendship with two principal countries. United States of America, that is a core of NATO, and United Kingdom, the dominant maritime force around Europe that actually protects our seashores, and that in spite, by the way, the fact that Merkel builds Nord Stream against us, as we see.